Yo, long time no see. Sorry for the sudden hiatus, but real quick, I've posted why I have not been uploading on my Twitter, so do check it out. But I have been back streaming on Twitch, so if you wanna have a chat with me, do drop a follow and drop by it next time I go live. Links in the description. Okay, on to the video. Kamisato Ayaka, the large forehead, the queen, who we can see underneath her skirt, and also someone who dances but gets their socks wet. Anyways, in this video, I'll be explaining Ayaka's kit, talents and leveling prioritization, constellations, artifact builds, recommended weapons, recommended team comms, and how to play Kamisato Ayaka. I've already made guides on various characters, so do check it out if you're interested. So how does Ayaka work? Ayaka is a cryo sword wielding character that deals cryo damage with her auto attacks, elemental skill, and burst. Her auto attacks does physical damage at first, but can deal cryo damage as well. To trigger this, you'll need to sprint with Ayaka once, and then something called Senho will be active. This allows Ayaka's attacks to be infused with cryo. Note, her sprints will be the same as Mona's sprint, where it dives underground or underwater. Her elemental skill, Kyoka, I hope I said that right, forgive me if I said that incorrectly, gomenasai. The skill is the main source of her energy, where it can generate 4 to 5 particles every time it is casted. It also deals a decent amount of damage to the point where it is worth crowning. Her elemental burst, thank you Saori for the wonderful voice acting. The burst is also known as her main kit when it comes to dealing damage. It does have high energy cost, but with a full cryo team and a good rotation, this should not be a problem. With the burst, Ayaka will release 19 cuts and each of them dealing a really good chunk of damage. It is also known to be one of the strongest elemental bursts in the game. So for talent leveling, I would suggest elemental burst, then auto attacks, then elemental skill. Elemental burst for huge damage output, auto attacks and skills comes after, but all of them would be worth leveling up together as Ayaka will be dealing damage with all her Kamisato arts that is built in her kit. Now on to passives. Blessing. I do not know how to read that. Ayaka restores 10% stamina and gains 18% cryo damage bonus if her sprint applies cryo to nearby enemies. Amatsumi Kinutsumi, I have a big PP. So using her elemental skill, Ayaka will gain 30% normal and charge attack damage for 6 seconds. And the last passive gives Ayaka 10% chance to double a product when used to craft a weapon ascension material. Next, Constellations. C1 gives Ayaka a 50% chance to lower her elemental skill cooldown with every normal and charge attack. C2 creates an additional 2 storms on each side of Ayaka's elemental burst, each dealing 20% damage of the original. C3 increases burst damage by 3 levels. C4, her burst now decreases defenses of enemies by 30% for 6 seconds if the burst hits them. C5 increases skill talent by 3 levels. C6, Ayaka gains additional charge attack bonus every 10 seconds. Summary to her constellations, C1 and C5 does not offer much damage increase, while C2, C3, C4 and C6 makes her one of the best DPS in the game. But she is already broken even at C0 with maximum investment, so you don't have to worry about the constellations much. Oh yeah, one thing before we continue. Do like the video. It helps a lot. Artifact builds. For pre-air 45 players, 3-star options would be 2-piece resolution or Braveheart for extra attack and the 4-piece Braveheart for extra damage. You can even equip the 2-piece martial artist for extra damage and the 4-piece for additional damage as well after using the elemental skill. Surprisingly, for low AR players, this set is nice as it does favor Ayaka's kit when using the normal or charge attack. For endgame players, a combination of the 2-piece Glad or Shimanawa paired up with the 2-piece Blizzard or the 2-piece Noblesse for extra burst damage if you don't have any good 2 pieces previously mentioned. And for 4-piece options, the full Blizzard set which gives you extra crit rate will be beneficial as you can stack other stats but does limit you to run a double cryo team for maximum chance critting. For Sands, attack percentage, for Goblet, cryo damage bonus, and for Circlet, crit rate or crit damage depending on what you need. Recommended weapons. For 5-star options, Mid Splitter, high base attack with good amount of crit damage and passive suits Ayaka well. Jade Cutter, lower base attack but offers a high crit rate along with extra attack from passive. Summer Shaper, high base attack and passive is okay, but very situational to proc it. Skyward Blade, again high base attack and great if you want a burst spam Ayaka. Aquila Favonia, high base attack again, but passive and secondary stat does not work well with Ayaka, so not recommended. For 4-star options, most of them you can get as a free-to-play, but I do have to mention the Black Sword. Yes, it does give extra crit rate, but passive is not the best for Ayaka to work with. Black Cliff Longsword gives extra crit damage, but does cost your star glitter. Amenoma gives a lot of attack to Ayaka herself, and passive is really nice for her burst uptime. Definitely recommended, and would also suggest refining it as much as possible. Harbinger of Dawn lowers base attack, but does offer both crit rate and crit damage, so it makes crit builds easier. Recommended team comms. So when building a team with Ayaka, there are some things to consider. If you are facing visible enemies, a freeze team will help. In this case, Ayaka can be paired up with a cryo battery like Diona or Rosaria, and alongside a hydro applier like Okomi, Mona, Xingqiu, or even Barbara. And finally, an animal character like Kazuha, Jean, Venti, or Sucrose that can proc the Viridescent buff. If the enemies you are facing is unfreezable, a full mono cryo team is recommended. And in this case, Ayaka will always be paired up with Shenhe alongside a cryo battery and an animal character. And one final team that just can't be left out is a meld team, which consists of Ayaka being paired up with Xiangling, Benny, and Diona. Note, having Constellations on the 4 stars mentioned will be even better, as the additional buffs will be given to Ayaka. So how to play Ayaka? Things to take note. 1. Energy management. This is crucial for Ayaka's burst uptime, so a rotation or sequence must be kept or continued. For example, in a freeze team, sprint to the enemy, then use an animal character to shred, then a hydro character to apply hydro, then using the other cryo character skill for cryo particles, then Ayaka's burst and skill, charge attacks, then repeat the process. With this rotation, 80% of the time you will be able to have your burst up and ready to pop it again. Next thing to take note is grouping. To maximize Ayaka's burst AoE and damage overall, grouping enemies together will be crucial. In order for this to be successful, an animal character is always recommended to be in the party. My advice: Ayaka is one of the strongest on-field DPS in the game. She also has a fairly simple playstyle to learn and execute. She has a good energy restoration with particles generated and has a lot of team comp variations. She is also known great for overworld traveling. The downsides of using Ayaka would be most damage very dependent on her burst, and she also requires a good amount of energy recharge or rotation to even play, and she has very limited weapon choices. Thanks for watching this video. If you find this video helpful, do leave a like and subscribe to see more vids like this, and do leave a comment and interact with me on Twitch, Twitter, or Discord anytime. Links in the description. And as always, I'm PP.